Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange, and today I'm very excited to bring you my top 10 most anticipated adult science fiction books for the rest of 2020. This covers everything from July to December. I have some great books to talk about. I just think that there is a lot of books coming out that sound right up my alley. As always, I'm going to do my best to get my hands on review copies so I can turn around and let you know what I think of these. But from the premise and synopsises that I'm able to read online, these books sound just exactly what I'm craving right now. As always with these videos, you have to give the caveat that these dates are subject to change, especially with everything going on. And I made this video based off of the North American dates, specifically here in Canada, so it might be slightly different, especially if you live somewhere else like in the UK. All that being said, let's get into the books. Now, first on July 7th, we have Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott, which is described as a gender-swapped retelling of Alexander the Great. I actually don't know much about that historical tale, but the synopsis itself sounds great. It's about a princess named Sun who is the heir to a vast empire. However, people among her are plotting to kill her, and so she is forced to use her wits and companions to protect herself. I believe it's the start of a series. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or something larger, but I've heard amazing things about Kate Elliott's fantasy. But as you know, I'm more of a science fiction reader, so I think this is the perfect place to start with her work, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous. I'm very excited to get my hands on this one. Then on July 14th, we have The Relentless Moon by Robinette Kowal. This is the third book in her Lady Astronaut series, which is an alternate history where a climate change event has caused the program in space to be accelerated, and so they have to bring in female pilots. And this book is more of a companion to the first two, which can be treated as a duology, and I have read them both. And this one actually follows a different astronaut, so not Alma, but someone else, another female, but this one is going off to colonize the moon rather than Mars. And this story is also told in a time where there is a lot of stress and riots that are breaking out on Earth because the temperature is rising and there's a lot of pressure to get humans off Earth and onto these other colonies. So it sounds like the stakes are getting higher. I understand that there is at least one more book planned after this, so it is an ongoing series, and I'm definitely here for that. If you haven't started it, I would recommend going back to the beginning and reading The Calculating Stars first, because I do suspect there will be spoilers if you jump into this one. Also on July 14th, we have Rev by Madeline Ashby, which is the third book in the Machine Dynasty trilogy. And this is set in a future world where there are artificial intelligent companions. And the first book starts out with a young girl who is the daughter of an organic man and an artificial woman. And their daughter, who is artificial as well, goes to protect her mother and ends up eating her artificial grandmother, and so has to go on the run. This future involves this technology called fail-safes, in which all of the artificial intelligence have these internal mechanisms that are supposed to stop them from harming other people. However, this girl's fail-safe seems to be broken. And that's where the story starts. I don't want to say more, but I'm very excited to see an end to this trilogy, because this is one I read years ago, and this last book got pushed off for years and years in publication and is finally coming out, and so I'm so excited to binge through the trilogy. I want to start from the beginning, read it all again, and I'm very much looking forward to this. Then on August 4th, we have Seven Devils by Laura Lamb and Elizabeth May, and this is the start of a feminist duology that is about a group of 7 women that are resistance fighters and are trying to take down an evil empire. And this book is definitely giving me Star Wars vibes from that description, but a more feminist version of it. Specifically, this first book follows 2 women that are going off to infiltrate a ship that is carrying some deadly weapons, and they are going to get some intelligence and bring it back to the resistance. And it sounds like there's a lot of really good inter-character dynamics. And I like the fact that it's a duology because that means that I'm going to be able to get in and get out and not be stuck in the middle of a really long ongoing series, which is always a challenge when it comes to science fiction fantasy. Moving on to August 25th, we have Architects of Memory by Karen Osborne, and this follows an indentured woman with a long-term illness who is desperate to repay her debts. She is working as a salvager and comes across some ancient alien technology that is possibly very dangerous, and this leads to uncovering some big conspiracies and political maneuvering, and the story just sounds like it gets really epic, which sounds right up my alley. Definitely sounds like it has some similarities to the Expanse series, and I've also heard that it has a bisexual main character with a female-female relationship, and I love me some queer science fiction, so I am very excited to check this one out. Then on September 15th, we have An Unnatural Life by Erin K. Wagner, and this is described as To Kill a Mockingbird meets Murderbot, which is an excellent elevator pitch. Specifically, it's set in a future where artificial intelligence have recently received legal rights, and so the story follows a lawyer who is defending an AI who is being accused of murdering a human. They say that they didn't do it, and we'll see how that all works out. I am a huge fan, of course, of AI stories, but I'm also a really big fan of courtroom dramas, so I think this is going to be right up my alley, and I'm very excited to see how it's going to go. Then also on September 15th, we have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, who of course is the author who wrote Aragorn. I never actually read that YA fantasy series, but I'm interested in this one because it's going to get a lot of buzz in the fall because of the author's name. This follows a female xenobiologist who is going on a pretty standard colonization mission when she comes across some ancient alien relics, and of course there are going to be some big ramifications for humanity and uncovering some big plots. So this definitely sounds like one of those classic space opera series, and from the synopsis, it does sound like the kind of thing I would typically enjoy. I will admit I did get the chance to read an excerpt, which I don't normally read partial excerpts before a book comes out, but I was intrigued enough to take a look, and I did find that this book, in my opinion, at least to start, kind of read more like young adult science fiction. The main character was very much focused on her boyfriend, and the character work just didn't really impress me. So while I'm putting it on this list, it's more because I'm interested to see how this book goes, how it is received and reviewed, but I don't think I'm actually going to actively ask for a review copy at this point. But if I get a chance, I will check it out through my library, and I'll let you know what I think of it, just because, again, I think a lot of people are going to be talking about this one, so I did want to mention it here. Then jumping into November, we have The Chimera Code by Wayne Santos on November 10th. And this is the only one that has a little touch of fantasy. This is described as cyberpunk with a touch of magical realism, but I'm hoping there's enough science fiction to please me as a sci-fi reader. And this follows a group of magical hackers. There is a cyborg, a mage, and an artificial construct that is non-binary, and it just really intrigues me. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I do enjoy fantasy as well, so I'm hoping I'll enjoy how this is blended together. Then on November 17th, we have Nophek Gloss by Essa Hansen, and this is about a man that goes on an epic revenge plot when his planet is destroyed, and he teams up with a group of misfits. It sounds like a very classic science fiction space opera once again, but you know what? I am here for it, and I'm just, excited to hear more about it as we get closer to the release date. And the last book on this list is more of a wish, and that is the final 9th book in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. I, of course, have read and loved all 8 published books, and the 9th book was slated to come out this year. I understand that Orbit is trying to figure out what is happening before they actually announce anything, so I don't know if it's actually going to come out before the end of the year at this point, but as of filming this, which is at the end of May, they have not announced anything online. The Twitter account for James S.A. Corey is just saying wait and see, that until we get an announcement, they can't tell us anything more. So I don't know, I don't have a cover or a name, but hopefully by the time you're watching this, things have changed. If they haven't, let's all keep patiently waiting, but I'm really hoping that we get the conclusion to the Expanse before the end of the year. If not, I will be anticipating it for 2021. So so we'll see what happens. So that is it for this video. I would love to know, of the 10 books I mentioned here, which one are you most interested in checking out yourself? And also share with me your most anticipated release for the rest of 2020. Even if it's not an adult science fiction book, I'm still interested to know. As always, thank you so much for watching. I read a combination of science fiction, fantasy, horror, and thrillers. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Otherwise, give the video a thumbs up, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.